Our top stories tonight: the South African Democratic Teachers Union lashes out at the so-called Jobs for Cash report, branding it politically motivated. Emergency services tackle a massive blaze after a fuel tanker explodes close to the Mvoti Toll Plaza in KwaZulu-Natal. This is eNEWS Direct Weekend Edition. Good evening.
You can comment on any of our stories by following us on Facebook and Twitter at eNEWS Direct.
Or you can check our content on our website enca.com/direct. The South African Democratic Teachers Union says political games are behind the findings of the yet-to-be-released Jobs for Cash report. An ministerial task team was commissioned to probe allegations that the union was selling principal and deputy principal posts. But the union believes the report has been influenced by political pressure to find the union guilty. The final report will be made public next month.
A report that uncovers how headmasters and school teachers were appointed for as little as R1,000 is giving the country's largest teacher union sleepless nights. The ministerial task team's interim report has already painted a grim picture. In the 75 cases investigated, Sadtu is at the heart of the Jobs for Cash scandal. But despite the final report not being made public yet, the union is calling it a wild goose chase.
They are making a general statement that we are enjoying from a corrupt relationship that we are having because we are an affiliate to COSATU being an ally of the ANC and the Communist Party. Now, we are saying to him that, look, this is a serious allegation that you are putting.
After getting a hold of the interim report, Sadtu is convinced its members did nothing wrong.
We have 260,000 members. Now, can you say that 7 teachers who are members of SATU assist you to come to a conclusion that the entire SATU body is corrupt?
It believes the outcome of the report is politically influenced to discredit the union.
They are under pressure from the Democratic Alliance, a party that hates us with passion. And for that, they will not be fair in terms of looking at the concrete issues that we have submitted to them.
The DA says the union is desperately trying to hide the truth.
The report will show the extent to which Sadtu is doing damage to our education system. It will show the extent of bribery and corruption perpetrated by Sadtu members.
Mutsecha refuses to be drawn into the public spat. Her department says she will not engage in the issues raised until she meets up with unions on the day before she releases the task team's final report to the public on the 15th of April. Leranzo Temba, Johannesburg.
A possible catastrophe was averted today after a fuel tanker exploded near a toll plaza in northern KwaZulu-Natal. Fire and rescue services managed to bring a massive blaze under control after the tanker exploded near the Mvoti Toll Plaza on the KZN North Coast. The vehicle was parked just meters from a Shell Ultra City, sparking fears that the fire would spread to the garage. The cause of the explosion is not yet known. Emergency services suspect that someone may have been trying to siphon petrol from the tanker.
They just come out.
Were extensively damaged. There was another vehicle that was parked in between 2 tankers, and it is presumed that this vehicle was trying to decant some of the fuel out of the tankers when the static electricity then caused the fire to start, although that will still be determined and confirmed by investigations from fire and police service.
One of the families of the Craddock Four says they won't get closure until the truth is revealed. This comes after the man who testified about his role in the assassination of the activists committed suicide. Former security policeman Gerard Lotz shot himself at his home last week. He had admitted his role in the killings before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in 1998.
Gerard Lotz admitted his role in the killings of Mvoti Goniwe, Fort Calata, Sperom Kondo and Sicelo Mhlauli, known as the Craddock Four, 30 years ago. Lotz appeared before the TRC and confessed his part in the murder of the 4 men. He detailed how he and his colleagues from the security police planned and executed the murders. Lukanya Calata, son of one of the victims, says Lotz's sins might have finally caught up with him.
My mom always tells the story that she says that my father always said that if something were to ever happen to him, he would haunt those people that actually would bring him any harm. My mom is convinced that my father probably haunted him and got him to that place where it was easier for him to take his own life.
According to Lotz's own testimony, Captain Saki van Sale and Lieutenant Eric Taylor effected the plan to kill the Cradock Four. Lotz told the TRC he had to find a pattern for the four men's movements. They detained them and staged their deaths to look like vigilante attacks by other political organizations. Lotz and his accomplices were never convicted of the killings. Galata says Lotz might have taken the truth of what really happened that night to the grave.
We can't have any closure because we don't know what the truth is, you see. Mr. Lotz killing himself like this, you know, it's unfortunate, but it doesn't bring us any closer to knowing the truth.
Galata is calling on those responsible for father's death to come forward and reveal the whole truth. Bonga Dlulane, Cape Town.
Residents in Ennedale, Johannesburg are living in fear after the homes of anti-drug protesters were petrol bombed yesterday. They'd been demonstrating against an alleged drug dealer just days before the attack, and community members say that was the motive for the attack. Police have confirmed the incident, but no arrests have been made.
On this seemingly quiet suburban street, a war is brewing. It's here that anti-drug activists are taking a stand against alleged dealers. Lavona Steeneveld is one councillor fighting to rid her community of drugs.
We've got 62 drug houses within our community, which is scary. And yet the police knows about these drug dealers and nothing has ever been done.
Earlier in the day, residents had been protesting at the home of an alleged drug dealer who lives on this street. Hours later, the homes of 3 anti-drug activists had been petrol bombed. Thankfully, the only thing the fire destroyed was some furniture. Steeneveld keeps buckets of water by the window just in case the arsonists come back.
We actually fear for our lives because we are so visible within our community. I personally, I'm scared of my family's life as well as my own, because I don't know when the next attack might be.
Another activist, whose identity has been hidden, says she's living in fear.
We are innocent and now we are dragged into this thing and we don't know if it's going to stop, what's going to happen next. And our lives are threatened.
Although the incident has clearly left the community shaken, Steeneveld says she'll keep fighting until her neighborhood is drug-free. Pagamile Hlubi, Ennedale.
Table Mountain's very first telescope is up for sale on Gumtree, but the owner, who's an antique collector, has stringent conditions attached to who can buy it. He wants it to be kept in South Africa and preferably Cape Town.
From holding pride of place on the top of Table Mountain, having the British royal family look through it, to being advertised on Gumtree. Julian Meyer, a collector of old scientific relics, has owned the century-old telescope for 30 years. Now, a lack of space means he has no choice but to sell it. It still works, although the quality of the lens has deteriorated.
There are some chips on the main objective lens in the front, and the prisms, the little glass pieces at the eyepiece at the far end, have been badly bashed up. So you can see through it. I had it for a few weeks on my balcony at home. You could see the harbour, but the image is very fuzzy.
In the 3 years it's been listed on the site, there was just one serious buyer from America. He was unable to transport it back to the US, but was able to give Meyer the original token used to test the timing mechanism.
Once the sixpence had been dropped in here, it would trigger the mechanism to open the shutter for about a minute, then the shutter closed again, and the coin would drop into a little container at the bottom.
Meyer says he won't sell it to just anyone.
If I feel the person who wants it has the same kind of ethos as I do as a collector, or someone who will cherish it and look after it and keep it in the Cape area, then I am very, very negotiable.
Meyer is disappointed the Table Mountain Cableway Company wasn't keen when he offered it, but hopes a museum may express interest. Bibi Aisha Vidvala, Cape Town.
Well, moving to world news now, Syria says its forces have now recaptured the ancient city of Palmyra from Islamic State. They'd been gaining ground for several days, backed by Russian airstrikes. According to the army, this marks the beginning of the collapse of IS. When the group seized Palmyra, it destroyed some of the city's archaeological sites, sparking global outrage. The head of Syria's Antiquities Authority promised to repair as much of the damage as possible as a message against terrorism. The war in Syria was among the international problems the Pope offered prayers for when he delivered his Easter message in Rome today. He condemned terrorism and also those who reject migrants instead of helping them. Pope Francis called on Christians not to let fear and pessimism imprison them. Police have clashed with protesters in Brussels using water cannons to disperse them. The demonstrators stormed a central square in the Belgian capital as people paid tribute at a makeshift memorial for victims of last Tuesday's deadly attacks. Some reports describe the demonstrators protesting against the attacks as football hooligans. The demonstration came after a so-called March Against Fear planned for today was called off. The authorities said it would strain police resources for the continuing investigation into the attacks claimed by Islamic State. And thousands of people lined the streets of Dublin today to witness a parade marking the 100th anniversary of the 1916 Easter Rising. The military parade was the largest ever staged in the Republic of Ireland. Special guests included a number of former Irish presidents and prime ministers. The rebellion in 1916 was an attempt to overthrow British rule. Well, coming up after the break, a champion mixed martial arts fighter grapples with the aspirations of youngsters at a Germiston children's home. A champion mixed martial arts fighter is trying to help the children's home where he grew up. The home in Germiston is experiencing financial problems.
These children are imagining themselves as prize fighters. They live at Epworth Children's Home in Germiston, and champion martial arts fighter Iga Kabesa paid them a visit. But just 4 years ago, he was like one of them, living at the home where he was taught to wrestle.
When I joined the wrestling, it was like I always listen to my elders. I'll never listen to the same age, my age group or guys younger than me, because they've never seen as much, you know. And the thing is, like, it's just influence, you know, having the right people around you.
Iga and other fighters gave out Easter eggs and played games with the children. Iga's coach Toby has been training children from Epworth for over a decade and hopes to inspire more children to take up the sport.
Iga was the smallest in the group. He was just a little guy, but he was always smiling. So I got fond of him, and he became like my adopted son, him and his brother. So they were always in the group, and Kenneth and some of the other guys, that I pressed a little bit harder. And no matter what I threw at them, he always came out smiling.
Iga wants to mentor the children, but also hopes to help financially. He will be wearing their logo during the fights to help bring in sponsorship for the home. Teresa Taylor, Germiston.
Well, after the break, Candace has your weather forecast.
A cold front swept over the southern part of South Africa on Sunday, and we're still expecting a few drops of rainfall overnight. Things really dry out on Monday, though, with partly cloudy weather along the coast and a cooler day for KwaZulu-Natal. Things still stay hot for the Lowveld, and we're forecasting sunny and warm weather for the majority of South Africa's interior, but with a warning for high seas along the coast between Cape Point and Port Alfred. You'll see a cooler day for KwaZulu-Natal, 26 degrees for Pietermaritzburg, partly cloudy along the coast as well as over the southern part, with highs still in the low 30s over the northern part of KZN. It'll be a chilly start of the day for the Eastern Cape, sunny over the interior with some cloud along the coast, and most maximum temperatures in the low and middle 20s. A similar day as we head towards the Western Cape with a mild forecast for the coastal regions, and then sunny and warm weather in the afternoon over the interior, just shy of 30 in Vredendal at 29. Still quite cool for Sutherland at 1 and 22, with a warmer day throughout the Northern Cape, 31 degrees for Uppington, and into Uninterrupted sunshine for the Free State, 26 for Bloemfontein and Bethlehem. Very little change in the weather for the northwest, with another sunny day and highs in the low 30s. The hot weather continues as we head towards Limpopo, sizzling hot for Phalaborwa and Messina at around 40. And you'll see a toasty afternoon for Bombela at 38, 30 degrees from Emalahleni through to Standerton, with a sunny day throughout Mpumalanga. You'll also see unusually warm weather in the afternoon for Gauteng, but with quite a chilly start of the day and a sunny Monday in store. On Tuesday, we're forecasting sunny and hot weather still over the interior, with some cloud over the southern parts. Cape Town can expect evening rain ahead of a cold front, and that front brings in rainfall on Wednesday with some drizzle for Springbok at 20 degrees, and you'll see another sunny and sizzling hot day over the eastern parts. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Well, here's a recap of your top stories now. The South African Democratic Teachers Union lashes out at the so-called Jobs for Cash report, branding it politically motivated. The final report will be made public next month. Emergency services tackle a massive blaze after a fuel tanker explodes close to the Mvoti Toll Plaza in KwaZulu-Natal. It's suspected the fire started when someone tried to siphon petrol from the tanker. Well, that's a wrap from the eNEWS Direct team this Easter Sunday.
Up next, your Sunday dose of comedy with How I Met Your Mother.
To share your views, you can send an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or chat to us on Twitter and Facebook at eNEWS Direct.
Until the next time, take care and good night.